everybody, I'm Robert Donovan. Welcome to this episode of Tradecraft Solutions. So suppose for one reason or another you find yourself unable to cover your minimum debt payments and still cover your other bills like the food or electric bill, even after you have gone manically minimalist using techniques you found here or elsewhere, and you've cut your spending to Spartan levels. In fact, unless you've done that, I would recommend watching those videos on this playlist of the Tradecraft Solutions show now, because until you do those sorts of things, debt consolidation, that is the combining of multiple smaller debts into a single larger one with a lower interest rate and a payment lower than the total payments for all the individual loans, is not the solution to your debt problem. What you need in that case is greater spending discipline, not debt reorganization. Absent that, everything we cover in this video, honestly, probably going to make things worse. But assuming your spending is under control, a debt consolidation does make sense in certain limited circumstances. If a legit financial hardship should befall you, like an unexpected medical expense, your car gets totaled by an uninsured unemployed driver, temporary job loss runs your debts up, that kind of thing. Well, a friend of mine actually had those three happen to him all at once. He had gone to dinner with his then 8 months pregnant wife. He pulls up to the entrance. She goes in to get a table. Busy night. He had to park far away. They eat dinner. They come out. She's pregnant, 8 months, doesn't want to walk, so he has her wait by the entrance. He goes to get the car while she waits, and as he gets into the car, he fastens his seatbelt, shuts the door, and bam! Drunk slams into the back side of his car near the trunk, taking out 3 additional cars in the process. My friend found out later from the police report that the drunk was uninsured and unemployed because, of course he was. They estimated the guy hit his car at least 50 miles an hour. Now, my friend had all the necessary insurance, but he suffered serious back injuries that put him out of work for about 17 weeks. Bang! 60% of their household income gone. The wife had paid maternity leave, and they did have an emergency fund. They did not have a lot of debt, but they used the emergency fund to pay down as much debt as they could. Then they took out a debt consolidation loan to get the payments as low as they possibly could until he could go back to work, just to make sure his wife's lesser income would cover all their bills. This shows both the usefulness of a properly used debt consolidation and the importance of an emergency fund. A debt consolidation can be useful in a non-hardship type situation if you transfer balances on high-interest debts to low-interest debts without increasing your interest costs. The mistake most people make with debt consolidations is forgetting that a lower interest rate and a lower monthly payment do not help much if the combined balance on all your debts in the consolidation is so high that your interest cost winds up skyrocketing. In the vast majority of cases, it will be cheaper to pay your debts off separately. Debt consolidation is something you do with a loan, not a type of loan. Credit card balance transfers, personal line of credit, home equity line of credit, home equity loans, mortgage refinances, all of those can be used to consolidate other smaller debts. The good points about doing that: one, you have convenience, so you get fewer bills, so it's easier to keep track of, less likely you're going to forget one. You also have a lower overall monthly payment, a lower interest rate. Those, unfortunately, are not guaranteed, but they're likely if you do it right. Bad points about the consolidation idea, however, are many. And first is that lender approval is required to make them happen. That means that the lower your credit score, the lower your income, the less home equity you have, the higher your debt-to-income ratio, the more it's going to cost you in interest and fees. Things like origination fees, prepayment penalties, all quite common with debt consolidation loans, and the less likely it is to be worth doing under those conditions. Most debt consolidation loans do top out around $50,000, which is why they're often used to consolidate credit card debts, because they're not really big enough to consolidate any larger debts easily at lower interest rates. The lower payment is helpful in the short term, but the problem is if you're not careful and you handle it wrong, it can result in way higher interest costs. The other thing that you got to keep in mind about a debt consolidation is that consolidations reshuffle your debts around, but they do not reduce your overall debt. They make your payment lower, but that tends to mask overspending, and it'll make things worse if your overspending is not addressed. Irresponsible credit card users are the bread and butter business of most consolidation lenders. Consolidations are nearly always, even when they work, a better deal for the lender than for you. So let's go through a quick example here of doing a debt consolidation. We're going to use the set of loans we've used in the last few videos. Go to Undebt IT. I'm showing them here using the debt to interest ratio debt payoff strategy. It turns out that if we take the debt avalanche, debt snowball, or debt to interest ratio with no extra payment until the first loan is paid off, you will cost yourself $28,800 in interest with these 6 loans. It'll take 5.7 years to pay them off. $1,700 a month will be the total monthly cost. If you use minimum payments with no debt strategy at all, it'll cost you $31,510 and take 9.4 years to pay this off. So that gives us a starting point, a basis for comparing the debt consolidation loan. Let's go ahead and assume that we aren't going to be able to consolidate more than $50,000, which means we won't be able to consolidate the entire $90,000 in loans you see here. So let's just consolidate the first 4 highest interest loans. That's going to be a total of $33,000. Let's put that into a 10-year loan at 14%. If you did that, that would drop your total monthly payments to $1,373 a month from $1,700. So that's a $327 a month savings. Not bad. Reduces your number of bills from 6 to 3. Total interest cost for all those debts is $38,265, which is almost $10,000 more than it will cost you to just pay your debts off individually, assuming you make no extra payments. So if you do a 7-year loan for that $33,000 at 14%, your monthly payment goes to $1,478, which is still substantially less than $1,700. Your total interest cost drops to $29,086 versus $28,800 if you don't consolidate. If you made a few extra payments on the consolidation loan or could consistently do it, that could balance out. That wouldn't take very big extra payments to make that work like the 10-year loan would. And as a final point of comparison, let's look at a 5-year loan at 14% for that $33,000. That takes your monthly payment to $1,628, which is only $72 less than where you started. But because of that lower interest rate, your total interest is only $23,210, which is a substantial savings, but your payment hasn't gone down by very much. Note the pattern. This is the thing I want you to take away from this. Lower minimum payment, higher interest cost, even with a substantially lower interest rate. The interest rates on the 3 credit card loans here are all north of 20%. The interest rate on the consolidation was 14%. So that's a 10% drop roughly in your interest rate, and it still costs you quite a bit in interest if you put too much into the consolidation and take too long to pay it off. So final thoughts and summary. If you can still cover your bills without doing a consolidation, I highly recommend you pay your debts off individually using one of the other debt strategies we have covered in this series. It will nearly always be your cheaper option. When you are not doing a consolidation, I recommend that you pay your variable payment debts like credit cards and lines of credit off first, because the minimum payments immediately go down when you pay off principal. In the United States, by law, lenders have to have a high enough minimum payment to make sure you're always paying off principal. You can then take the savings from the lower minimum payments, go to Undebt IT, and then apply those savings as an extra payment using whichever strategy works best for you. If you have all fixed payment debts, if you happen to have that, go to Undebt IT and just use the best payoff method you find there. If a debt consolidation is required to cover your bills, if you have to do one for that, seek first to spend as little as possible. Once your spending is as low as you can get it, the key to using a debt consolidation is to consolidate only as much debt as you need to get the payment low enough to cover your bills and no more. This avoids running your interest costs up higher than they need to be. Don't go doing what the bankers want you to do, which is consolidate this thing all to hell and gone, which will get you a nice lower payment, but it will also slam your interest rates right through the roof on the back end. Don't fall for that trap. Once you get your debt consolidation loan and you've got it where you're covering your bills, anytime you get a little extra money, I strongly recommend you make any extra payments you can, however irregularly you're able to do them, to reduce your interest cost. Sometimes it's best to make the extra payments on the consolidation loan. Other times you'll be better off putting that extra payment to your other debts. Undebt IT can help you figure that out. Lastly, treat the fact that you need a debt consolidation loan as a financial crisis requiring immediate and aggressive action to fix. If you are in a situation where you cannot pay your bills unless you do a debt consolidation to get your payments down, you are down to a stark and simple choice. Endure the pain of fixing the problem or endure the pain of not fixing the problem. Pain, when it gets worse, is nature's way of telling you you're doing something wrong. Listen to it. Fixing the problem hurts a lot at first. Let's not sugarcoat that. But it gets better fairly quickly once you start doing it because you're fixing the problem. Not fixing the problem just keeps hurting worse and worse in an ongoing misery of constant stress, worry over money, harassment by bill collectors, dread of any loss of hours at work, and waking up to find your bank account and paycheck has been garnished periodically, thereby hurting everyone else around you, by the way. So the decision is up to you. Decide. Now, if you have made a good faith effort to do all the techniques we've talked about here, and even a consolidation will not lower your debt payments enough to cover your bills, it is time to start looking at bankruptcy, which will be the subject of the next video. If you found this content useful and you want to see more of it, give us a comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps to support the channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when new episodes are uploaded. If you want to see the rest of this debt consolidation series, click the top left link here. Click the bottom link if you want to see the entire Tradecraft Solutions playlist, and that third link is what YouTube thinks you should be watching. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next video, and until next time, may the balance of your day be awesome.